All right, y'all. So this is us reviewing our homework, which are these last four problems. So we had these four here. All right. So those were our homework problems. So the first one we had was y was greater than -4. If I rewrote this as an equation, it'll say y is equal to -4. So I'm going to go to where y is equal to -4, and I'm going to have a dashed line there because it doesn't include the or equal to part. So I'm going to have a dashed line at y is equal to -4. And then since it's greater than -4, I'm going to shade above that line. And I'll have a different color here. So I'm going to shade above the line. All right. So now all I have to do is check all of my solutions and see if I was correct. All right. So just to make sure that we were correct, we'll just choose any one of those points that we say are a part of the solution. So -3, 2 is definitely part of that solution. Let's make sure that it does give us a true statement. So our y value, so our 2 should be greater than -4, and that is true. So we know we've shaded it correctly. All right, so like we just said, -3, 2 was part of our solution. 0, 0 is also in that shaded area, so that's part of our solution. 1, 4, same thing. 2, -5 is in the non-shaded area, so that is not part of our solution. All right, 0, -2 is still in the shaded area. -4, -2. Oops, I did that exactly wrong. -4, -2 is still in the shaded area. 2, 2, shaded area. -2, 3, still shaded. Oops. And then we have 3, 0 is also shaded. So we only had one that was not part of our solution. And that was that first homework problem. All right, the next homework problem, we had 2x plus 3y is less than or equal to 6. Well, since I have less than or equal to, I know I'm going to have a solid line. And since it's or equal to, since it includes that part, whatever points lie on that line should be included in our solution. And since it's less than, we're going to shade below that line once we graph it. Okay, so we first need to get this in the form of in the slope-intercept form so we can easily graph it. So we'll subtract 2x from both sides. So 3x should be greater than or equal to -2x plus 6. And remember we said that whenever we want to graph, just make it into an equation instead. So I'll go ahead and do that. So instead of having that, I'll have this, and I'll divide everything by 3. So y is going to equal -2/3 x. Oops. -2/3 x plus 2. And I will put that over here so I can easily see it. All right. And I'm ready to graph. And it will be a solid line like we said. So we start at 2 and go down 3, right 2. I'm sorry, down 2, right 3. And I can go the opposite way as well. And we have a solid line there. Yep, there we go. And like we said, we're going to shade below that line. Because it was less than or equal to. All right. So again, just choose any of the points that you want to check it to make sure we get a true statement. Either true or false. True will be if it's in the shaded area, should give you a true statement, and a false statement will give you the non-shaded area. So let me just choose -4, -2. I'll just choose this point to check. So let's plug that in. My x is -4, so I'll say 2 times -4 plus 3 times -2 should be less than or equal to 6. And again, I'm doing this just to make sure that I've shaded in the correct direction. All right, so 2 times -4 is -8, and 3 times -2 is -6. All right, -8 plus -6 is -14 is less than or equal to 6. So that is a true statement, which means that should be a part of our shaded area. So -4, -2. And yes, it is a part of our shaded area. So that is one of our solutions. All right, so I know I've shaded it correctly. I've got one of my solutions. I'm going to keep going now. So all I have to do is just plot the points and see where they lie. All right, so -3, 2, shaded area. Yep. 0, 0, same thing. 1, 4 is in the non-shaded area, so it should not be a part of our solution. 2, -5 is part of our shaded area. 0, -2, same thing. 2, 2 is in the non-shaded area, so not a part of our solution. -2, 3 is still in that shaded area, so we are good there. And then finally we have 3, 0, which is actually right here. It is right on that line, but since we have a solid line, it is part of our solution. So we are good there. All right, so we are done with that one. Moving on, we already have our equation, our next equation in slope-intercept form, or inequality in slope-intercept form, so we're good there. So let's go ahead and plot that. So we'll start at -1, use our slope to move, so we'll go up 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 2. So I'm going to plot my point right there and keep going until I can't go anymore. And I can go the opposite direction as well. Again, that's still going to be a solid line because I have the or equal to part. So solid line, and since it's greater than, I'll shade above that line. So solid line there, and I will shade above. Okay. And I'm going to choose another point to see if I get a true or false statement. Remember, it's going to be true when it's in the shaded area and false when it's not. All right, so I'll choose 0, -2 this time. So 0, -2 is right here. Okay, it's this point right here. And it is in the non-shaded area, so I should get a false statement. So my y value is -2, and it's saying that it's greater than or equal to 3/2 times my x, which is 0, minus 1. -2 is greater than -3 times 0, or I'm sorry, -3/2 times 0 is 0 minus 1. That simplifies to -1. And this statement is saying that -2 is greater than or equal to -1. That's false, which means that 0, -2 should be in the non-shaded area, and that is correct. That means we shaded correctly. So this is not a part of our solution. All right, so now that I know that my inequality, how I shaded it, is exactly correct, I can go ahead and just plot all my points and see where they lie. So -3, 2 is in the shaded area, part of my solution. 0, 0, same thing. 1, 4, shaded area. 2, -5 is in the non-shaded area. -4, -2 is in the shaded area. 2, 2 is right on that line. It is right here. And since it's a solid line, it is part of my solution. So I can include that. -2, 3 is in the shaded area. And finally, 3, 0 is in the non-shaded area. So it's not part of my solution. So I had 6 points of these were my possible solutions here. All right, and my final question for your homework was x is greater than or equal to -2. So if I made this into an equation, it'll say x is equal to -2. So at -2, so when x is -2, I'll have a point there. And let me just put that there. So I have this inequality symbol that says x is greater than or equal to -2, right? So this means I'll have a solid line there, but instead of shading above or below, I won't have above or below at all. I won't have above or below at all. I'm going to have this solid line here, and I'll have a left or a right. And since I have left or right, greater than is going to be to the right, and less than will be to the left. And since my symbol is greater than, I'll shade to the right. And again, the only time I'm going to change above or below is when I have the line like this, which is a vertical line. Okay, that's the only reason that this is different, because that's a vertical line. All right, so again, since it was greater than, I will shade to the right. And I'm still going to check all of my points to see that I did that correctly. So let me check one of them first to see where it lies. And remember, on the non-shaded side, I should get a false statement if I choose one of those points. And on the shaded side, I should get a true statement. So I'll choose 3, 0. That is on the shaded side, so when I plug it into my inequality, I should get a true statement. So my x value is 3, so 3 is greater than or equal to -2. That is true, so I know that I did it correctly. All right, so that is part of my solution. -3, 2 is not part of my solution. 0, 0, it is part. 1, 4, same thing. 2, -5 is right on that line, and it's a solid line, so I can, it is so not. 2, -5 is all the way over here, so it's definitely in the shaded area. 0, -2, completely in the shaded. -4, -2 is in the non-shaded area, so it can't be part of our solution. 2, 2 is in the shaded area. And finally, -2, 3, that's one that's on that line, but it's a solid line, so I can use that point. And that was our homework. Again, all of this was to make sure that we understood how to graph inequalities on the coordinate plane, how to find possible solutions. All right, and so our next step after this is to graph systems of inequalities, and we'll do the exact same thing we just did today, but instead of having one inequality we're graphing on one graph, we'll actually be graphing 2 of them on one coordinate plane and seeing where they overlap. All right, so the same type of basics, all right? So there you go. Thank you.